How dangerous has our inner saboteur identity become? What do we lose when our lives are run by the inner saboteur? How do we reframe our saboteur identity to a divine identity? When we unmask and reframe our saboteur identity, and we're really honest, it requires courage, it requires integrity, it requires telling the truth. Once I do that with my own life and consistently do that, I am much more successful, more fulfilled, more happy, more enjoy. Once the inner saboteur gets a hold of you, it throttles your neck, throttles your life.
The more we get exposed to regular human behavior that is actually misbehavior, the more we think that is actually normal, that is appropriate. So that we don't have really a frame of reference. What is a true, balanced, loving, kind, and considerate, intelligent behavior? So it's really about starting to discern, when are you disempowering yourself? Because ultimately it's about us, right? It's about you. It's not about something outside, because that's your blaming. It's not about you either. It's not the self-blame, right? That's coming to this frame of balance that you and I are going to discuss on this call.
Hello, dear listener, and welcome to thrivecast, unlocking your full potential. Your well-being is our priority, and we're here to provide you with practical, heartfelt advice on living your best life. Together, we'll explore identity, purpose, prosperity mindset, authenticity, and so much more. So grab your headphones and get ready. Your journey starts now.
So welcome everyone to thrivecast, unlocking your full potential. I'm Oscar. I'm an emotional fitness coach, and I help people embody their higher self so they can live their true purpose. And with me today, I have Katarina Hansens Karlsson. Katarina, please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Thank you, Oscar. So I'm the CEO of Destiny International 11. I'm a global trainer and consultant, and I'm an expert on the inner saboteur, or I've had to be, with my own inner saboteur. So if you need help with that, come to me or come to Oscar. So what's our subject today? Unmasking and reframing our saboteur identity. When we do that, when we unmask it and reframe it, and we're really honest, it requires courage, it requires integrity, it requires telling the truth. So once we do that, once I do that with my own life and consistently do that, I am much more successful, more fulfilled, more happy, more enjoy. Once the inner saboteur gets a hold of you, and it's just exactly like, it throttles your neck, throttles your life, but it's also very subtle. It's also it knows you inside out. So it sometimes will talk to you in such a sweet voice, so just let us beware of that. So, what's our first question? How dangerous has our inner saboteur identity become? Well, if you look at our planet, we're very much at war still. Maybe your country is not at war, but many countries are at war. There are many refugees. I mean, we're still fighting each other, which means we're in the inner saboteur, because the inner saboteur always wants power, not only over us, but over everybody else. Why? Because the inner saboteur has its own power, but it it is threatened by divine power because divine power is so much more powerful. Once you're in divine power, your inner saboteur doesn't have much power at all. But how dangerous has our inner saboteur identity become? Well, let's look at me over Christmas. My inner saboteur is going, you celebrated Christmas 2 days. Why don't you just chill out, go skating, enjoy yourself? You haven't had a holiday, uh, and then my business commitments come up, and I go, well, there are certain things I will absolutely do and certain things I'm procrastinating on. So I'm watching that. So watch your inner saboteur. Watch it the whole time. Listen to your thoughts. They're not going to go away, by the way. The inner saboteur, you can have total power over it. In fact, you do have total power over it. But the thoughts may never go away. In fact, the more successful, the more enlightened you become, the more your inner saboteur tries to take back its power. So that's how dangerous it is. Oscar, so the question was, how dangerous has our inner saboteur identity become?
Well, has it become or has it always been? That's my that's my understanding of it all. It's like we're from my side, we're constantly becoming more and more aware. However, we can perceive and we can see certainly that in our society, in our world, there's tons of confusion going on.
Yeah.
Right? What do I mean by confusion? Because what we have learned, like this idea that we got, and it's like, well, people fight, people are angry at each other, they complain, they do all of these things. We take them so much for granted. And we look on the news and we think that the news are, first of all, it's real, it's going on, and we also think that that's the normal way of being. Because the more we get exposed to regular human behavior that is actually misbehavior, the more we think that is actually normal, that is appropriate. So that we don't have really a frame of reference. What is a true, balanced, loving, kind, and considerate, intelligent behavior? It's very interesting because we just now today, like this it's New Year's, just a little bit after New Year's, and we got a dog, and you see, it's like a blank slate. So the dog, it's going to try a lot of things. So you need to show it what is the appropriate behavior. And as we grow up as children, our parents, they watch the news, they watch the television, or they look at TV shows or Netflix or whatever it is. And there's stupid things going on there that actually is not a normal human behavior, but we think it's normal. And therefore, we perpetuate it. And we say like, oh, it's not such a bad thing. And obviously, we're not supposed to be looking at ourselves and saying like, oh, I'm such a bad person because I do that. Because that's a saboteur strategy in itself as well, right? It's like it's turning its blame. It becomes self-blame rather than blaming something outside. So it's either internal or outside. But we should be very aware of what is happening. So how dangerous has it become? Well, the moment that people start obsessing over what is going on in the world and being really angry, negative, sad, and so forth, of course, that maybe causes them to, start a business or like have, feel a purpose and so forth and really start doing something about it. But the moment that it's just two wars, it's always this right and wrong going on. It's like, oh, I'm going to get power over that person, or I'm going to use strategies to somehow enforce my will upon someone else, then it just starts turning into a very, very chaotic existence. And so we turn to these strategies where we then, that is a saboteur strategy. How do you know? Because essentially nothing good comes out of it. If you, for instance, if you're saying like, oh, it's Christmas, I just want to be in this fuzzy feeling forever, and you have a business to run, then you know that you're saboteur running it. Now, if it's on the other hand, it's like you see that there's a war going on, and a part of you gets really angry and really frustrated and all of that, but you don't do anything about it except like maybe call someone and complain and bitch and all of that, right? Then you're disempowered too. So it's really about starting to discern, when are you disempowering yourself? Because ultimately it's about us, right? It's about you. It's not about something outside, because that's your blaming. It's not about you either. It's like, it's not the self-blame, right? That's coming to this frame of balance, I guess, that you and I are also going to discuss on this call, right, Katarina?
Very good. I like the concept that the inner saboteur is misbehaving and causes us to misbehave. Yeah, I like that.
Naughty boy.
Yeah,
naughty
exactly.
boy.
Aya baya. So, number 2, what do we lose when our lives are run by the inner saboteur? So, if our lives are totally run by the inner saboteur, number 1, we'll overeat. We'll be overweight. Number 2, we'll, as you say, Oscar, we'll blame other people for our own lack, or we'll be jealous of them. What else? We won't ever go out of our comfort zone. We'll stay in our comfort zone, and it will slowly kill us. We'll avoid any responsibility. We will avoid creating a vision, a New Year's resolutions. We will be a pain to most people around us. And the worst thing we can do is kill, I guess. Not only commit suicide, but kill others, hate others. All this is the inner saboteur. So what do we lose? We lose relationships. We sabotage. The inner saboteur will sabotage your best relationship. It will tell somebody you love that you hate them. And they'll leave. And they're right to leave, because they desire to be treated with love, and they deserve to be treated with love. Everybody deserves to be treated with love. So we lose relationships, we lose money, because the inner saboteur is crazy about money. It'll gamble your money away. It'll take huge risks. What else will it do? It will do everything to destroy your life. So what do we lose? We lose love, we lose joy, we lose success, we lose courage, we lose energy, we lose everything. So what do you say, Oscar? What do we lose when our lives are run by the inner saboteur?
I would say we lose the most essential part, and we lose our connection to the divine.
Yes.
It's like it's not that it's not gone forever, but you cut it off. The more you listen to your inner saboteur, the more you lose your divine spark, right? Because you are essentially dimming the capacity of the thoughts, of the higher frequency thoughts that actually sustains your health. And you will feel that. That's one of the key distinctions when you really come into discerning your inner saboteur. Not only will you start sensing what are the thoughts, but you will also feel how is the field. How does your even your energy field, right? Your around your body. How does it feel to be in that frame of reference of your inner saboteur? And I can say from my side, yeah, I had the other day, I was waking up and I felt, because I come to that place that I'm very pure in that sense. So I scanned my body, but then I looked outside of my body. I felt it, and it almost felt like a glue. It felt very like a very inertia, a very slow and pace, and it's like you were stuck in that. So that's something for people to understand as well. Like your inner saboteur, it works on all energy fields around and in your body as well. And you can literally feel how it feels when you tune into that. So for instance, if you wake up in the morning and you feel like, oh, it's one of those Mondays again. It's like, oh, don't want to do anything. First of all, that voice instantly is your inner saboteur. Like that voice is your inner saboteur. But that voice is also influenced by the field that is around you. So when you tune into and feel like, how does my body feel? It feels really slow, really stuck, really like achy. And then how does my energy feel? It's like, oh, it feels like I'm swimming in dirt or whatever, right? so it's essentially it's for us to start discerning how does this field of the saboteur actually sense around us, right? So obviously it's like this. If you're swimming in that, you can't really sense what you're swimming in. You just become influenced by the frame of mind that is going on. The state starts defining the way you're thinking, the way you're feeling, and the way you're acting. And whether that is like, oh, I'm just going to sit here on the sofa, watch Netflix, and then you start even feel nausea, right? Why? Because you start to fall even deeper. And what you fall deeper into is your disconnection from the divine. So you lose your health, and it goes faster and faster the less you start listening to the divine, right? And so and then you from the beginning, as we're probably going to talk about as well, is like you really have to break away from your own perceived idea, your own old self-concept. If you don't do that, then you that's one of the key things, right? Because the inner saboteur, it wants to live. You have to understand that it almost have for as long as you've been living, you have started defining this personality. So it essentially thinks it is you. And a personality wants to live. So when you start then saying, no, I'm a divine being, then you almost have a personality conflict. So you need to understand, and that will feel painful. That will feel awkward. And you will have to start questioning your old ways of being. Because that's essentially you're questioning your own inner saboteur. Yeah. I'm stopping there, but that's what I wanted to say.
Beautiful. And I'd like to also add, what else do we lose when the inner saboteur really takes over our lives? We lose our health. We lose our youth because the inner saboteur is not youthful and is absolutely obsessed with death. And I don't know how many times people think about death every day, but I don't know the statistics on that. But I think it's pretty common. So you lose your health, you lose your youth, you lose your vitality, everything that is your divine right, the inner saboteur takes from you. So it's New Year, so out with the old inner saboteur, in with the new divine. It's not about religion, it's about who you really are, your divine power. And I've been studying about monarchies recently and about the French Revolution. And you know what? God didn't say, okay, this one person, let's say Charles, or let's say Edward, has a divine right, was God chosen to be king. No, it doesn't work like that. We are all chosen, every single one of us. And that's what the French Revolution was all about. Égalité, equality,
fraternity,
liberté, liberty, freedom, equality.
Yeah, liberty, brotherhood, actually. Brotherhood, equality. Yeah.
Brotherhood.
Fraternity,
brotherhood, exactly.
Fraternity, yeah.
So that's who we truly are. That's why the French Revolution was a great success with Danton and Desmoulins at the beginning of the French Revolution, because it was based on divine wisdom. And that's, we are brothers and sisters. You know, there's no one on this planet, no genius, no Einstein. Einstein is not better than you. No one is better than anybody else. We're all brothers and sisters, and we're all free, and nobody has the right, nobody has the right to say, I have a divine right, and I'm king, and I'm queen, and I am going to decide over everybody else. And nor does a president either. So, okay, into politics. So, how do we reframe our saboteur identity to a divine identity? How do we get rid of the old and bring in the new, which is the truth? Well, we have to be a watcher, and we have to watch our thoughts, watch our habits, just like Oscar was saying, this gluey feeling, it's the inner saboteur. You know, how do we feel physically? What are we actually saying to ourselves? The inner saboteur thrives on self-hate. So
and hate of others as well. Yeah.
And yes, but self-hate is the worst, because you cannot love other people and you cannot receive their love if you hate yourself. So self-hate is the worst. Yeshua ben Joseph said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Jesus Christ. So first of all, love yourself. Jesus Christ loved himself. Yeshua ben Joseph loved himself. So that love overflowed to other people. So number one, the inner saboteur hates love. So start loving yourself. You don't necessarily need to love the inner saboteur. Somebody told me once, yes, if you love it, it will dissolve. Well, that was his truth. I'm just wary of mine, very, very wary. I don't trust my inner saboteur at all. No. I trust the divine voice, and the divine voice will not speak unless you're at peace. So some people say, well, God doesn't speak to me, the divine doesn't speak to me. Yeah, because there's too much noise going on. And what is that? The inner saboteur. So listen to your inner saboteur. What I used to do, I don't do it anymore, don't really need to do it anymore, was list, especially if you don't feel well, list all the most negative thoughts about yourself and about life and about your work and about your relationships and about war, about everything. And test them. Do the truth test on them, which means, excuse me, is it true now? Is the statement true now? If you're not sure, just put a question mark. Has it always been true in the past? Well, you don't know that, so it has to be no. Is it always going to be true in the future? Well, you don't know the future either, so it has to be no. So if you've got at least 2 no's, it's not true. That's the truth test for every single statement. So when you find a statement that's not true, reverse it, turn it around, and write affirmations, write declarations. So that's how you turn the inner saboteur's power into divine power. Oscar, what do you say? How do we reframe our saboteur identity to a divine identity?
Yeah, I would actually say almost similar to what you're saying, right? It's detail. It's about awareness. It's about listening, and it's certainly about becoming aware of where, in like what areas, in what triggers that inner saboteur, like what happens when you go into that frame of mind. And then for saying what Katarina said as well about questioning, right? One of the things that we have to understand is we have something that's called the confirmation bias, which means that we are, whatever we think that we're right about, we keep on, try to find proof around it. So you have built your whole reality, your whole saboteur strategy is built around that you have proof of why you are the way you are. Either it's the proof of how your family were, the proof of how your society were, whatever it is, right? You have ideas about this proves I am who I am, therefore I don't have to change, right? It's like I can rather blame and complain about how things are, but I don't have to do anything about it. But as also Katarina says, that's why we should question it, because your inner saboteur loves being right. It loves to being right about your partner. It loves to being right about life. It loves to be right about you. And every time it finds proof of you being you that solidifies you even more, then it celebrates. It celebrates itself so it can keep on living the way it's living. And so since it thrives on being right, the only way to actually start looking at, well, maybe it's not right. It's like the only way is actually by starting to say, it's like, well, is it true? Is it true right now? Will it always be true? Has it been true in the past? And then start, where I would add to this, start noticing, how does it feel? How does truth feel? How does it feel when you say to yourself it is true? How does it feel when you actually start questioning it, right? When you start moving your attention, because your attention is brilliant. The more you train it, you will start detecting the slightest differences when you change your thought. You see how your emotion flips, right? The second one is also what Katarina said, is like, it's about love. And you have the capacity inside of your body to feel how it feels to feel a little bit better. And the moment that you're feeling better, a lightness feeling, that means that your thoughts are actually shifting to a higher form of vibration. And that vibration is an indicator that it is closer to what your soul knows is true about you, which means that it's closer to your divinity. So yeah, start questioning, start feeling it. And then when you're feeling it, dare also to go to old memories, right? Because not only something might be true or not true in the present, but if it's not true in the past either, then what is? So going there and then start to let go of those emotions by literally looking from a very objective place, right? Because we have to understand this also, since everything starts with awareness. That's why I always tell my clients to do what I call a body scan, because all the thoughts and all the feelings are stuck in your mind body, energy field complex. And the more you start discerning where that is, you will start to feel that here's actually some stuckness anywhere it is. The moment you feel that stuckness, that means that it's not true, because you are a transparent light being. So anything that actually not feels like lightness is somehow a form of shadow that is lying itself like a filter over your reality, and somehow then construes your thought into that frame of reference that shadow holds. So obviously this is a longer process, and both me and Katarina are specialized in this, obviously. So but this is basically where you start, I would say.
Very good. So, Oscar, if somebody wants to contact you, how would they do that?
Yeah, you reach me through realitydecoding.com. I also have a Facebook group called Live Your Purpose, and on YouTube as Oscar Nygren. And you, Katarina, how do people reach you?
Yes, for me, it's LinkedIn, and it's Katarina Hansens Carlson, and my formal name is Catherine Carlson. And I also leave my Calendly link, so book a time with me until I get overbooked. Because Oscar and I are experts on this, and we've done the work to let go of our inner saboteur. And no matter how evolved you are, from time to time, we actually need to clean out the inner saboteur, especially at this time of year. Let it go and then create new vision. So next week, we're going to talk about new year, new vision. But we can't have a vision until we let go of the inner saboteur. So, yeah. Oscar, do you have more to say? Or is that it for the week?
Do I have more to say? I mean, yeah. I mean, to tie this together, like why do you do this? Well, you do it because, first of all, when you get more transparent, when you get more joyful, you can just instantly switch by, now I'm thinking this thought, and you feel how that emotion makes you elevated, and you get prone to take action. And so you start forming a new form of existence in life. You start becoming more alive. You start to feel much more in charge of your own reality. But not only that, it's like when you really come to this place where, first of all, you're taking action, but you also keep on feeling, you start becoming more and more higher in your emotions, in your way of being. Then I guess all of that's listening to this have heard of something that's called the law of attraction, right? It's like you start then, because as you are in a higher frame of reference, that means that you're also allowing higher thoughts to come to you. But that means that also the things that you have been wishing for in your life start materializing in some forms, right? It's like, because that happens when it's like you coming into this positive spiral where you start sensing that life is such an enormously joyful experience, and you just want to go deeper into it, right? Because as we human beings, why do we do things? We do things because how it makes us feel. Utterly, we're after the feeling. We got a puppy this new year, and that is such an enormous joy. Yes, it's some form of work, because you have to put in, you need to be in integrity and know what is right and wrong when you do this with a puppy, right? You're not just doing it for your own sake, but the amount of joy that comes from taking care of this and forming it on, and you sense that you can do it. You're no longer afraid, right? Because the fear of not daring to take care of a puppy is usually a saboteur strategy that thinks that you cannot do it. So all I want to say is, like, you want to do this because it makes life worth living, period. And everything becomes magical, everything becomes so much more interesting, and you are in charge of it all. What would you say, Katarina?
Yeah, I think we've said it all, Oscar. So,
yeah.
Thank you for watching, everyone, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.